Welcome to the 30 to Life podcast, where we break boundaries, build legacies, and help others along the way. It's your boy Mookie.
And your favorite color in the world, brown.
And welcome to another episode of the 30 to Life podcast, where we redefine the Black experience. Brown, it's been a while. You know, we've been on a monthly podcast type of stuff, but how you been, brother?
Yo, I've been good, man. Yo, I've been going to the gym every day before work, doing no less than 3 miles, and I feel amazing. I just want to say, I'm happy I found my thing, man.
Yeah, I mean,
how you been doing?
I'm good, just trying to, be healthy. Got my blood pressure, back to normal,
Okay.
So I'm feeling good. I'm not running, 10 miles like you, but I am eating healthy, and I am running to catch the train a lot. So, I'm getting cardio somewhere. So that's all good with me, just raising my daughter, which is a beautiful experience and journey. So can't complain about that. But Brown, we got a guest today, right? Like, enough about us, right? They know we be multitasking, multi-hyphenated, husband, brother, son, Father, and the Holy Spirit. No, I'm just playing. But we all good on that end. But I want to definitely introduce our awesome guest, Brandon Bryant. He is a Nebraska-born NFL professional player, and he's come out with a new children's book. So I wanted to bring him on to really showcase his amazing career, his book, and really for our listeners to learn more about, just the experience of getting to the NFL. And then also just as you being an author as well, Brown, to talk about that process and that journey and really what people can get out of his new book, children's book that he has. So Brandon, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be here. I'm excited for this.
Yes, thanks for coming on. And, before, we deep dive into everything, can you please show light to our listeners and tell them a little bit about yourself?
So, like you said, man, my name's Brandon Bryant. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, playing football and, playing sports and just all types of sports, running track, wrestled a little bit, did it all. And ultimately, football became my sport of passion and the route that I chose and the avenue that I thought I could take the farthest. And that's what I did. So, that's just part of my story. A lot more to it, a lot more to discuss today, a lot more about me. But I'm very excited to be here with you guys and share with your viewers and listeners.
I knew that Black people are everywhere in the country, but you are from Nebraska, and I just want to say, part of my ignorance, but I didn't know. So what's it like growing up in Nebraska as a Black man?
Anytime I leave the Midwest, I get that same question. I've been
okay, all right. I don't feel bad.
So it's all good. It's one of those places that you wouldn't know unless you actually been there, but it is a large, thriving Black population. Most of us situated on the north side of Omaha, North Omaha. We got, many Black celebrities I could name if you had the time, but, Terrence Crawford, 2-division champion of the world.
Yeah, I know.
Gabrielle Union. And, my favorite, Malcolm X. So it's a lot of us there. You just wouldn't know, man. I kind of equate it to like a smaller version of Kansas City or Cleveland. Very similar dynamics. But, great city. It's a lot of us there. But I hear that anytime I'm out the Midwest, or especially out the city, and I go somewhere, heard it my whole career. Every time I go to a new team and I introduce myself, Brandon Bryant, Omaha, Nebraska, somebody pulled me aside in the hallway or in the locker room and asked me that exact same question, man. So I'm used to it by now.
So you're a third generation football player. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My grandfather, Charles Bryant, he's in the Hall of Fame at the University of Nebraska. He was a dual sport athlete, football and wrestling. Very good football player, actually one of the first Black players to play at the University of Nebraska.
Wow.
His story of what he dealt with during segregation, playing there in the 50s, is insane. And anytime I'm able to talk to one of his peers or my grandmother when she was living, I would just hear more and more stories. Like, he would go with the team and he wouldn't be able to sleep at the hotel. Like, he had stories when he came to the Orange Bowl in Miami with Nebraska, and he had to sleep at someone's house in Overtown because he wasn't allowed to sleep with the team. So, my grandfather, my dad has 3 brothers. They all play football, all very good. My father was real good. All-American at the University of Southern Colorado. And, and then that's me, like you said, third generation.
So you played, obviously, high school football, and then you got great opportunity to play in college. What was that like, just going to college, playing college football? Just give us a little light on that.
So, man, I started high school, and, coming from Omaha, Nebraska, just a little bit about like how recruiting works. It's like you said, like you don't know much about Omaha. The scouts and recruits don't know much about Omaha either. So at my time, when I was coming up, it wasn't a highly recruited area. 2011, when I graduated high school, there wasn't a lot of opportunities. So you really had to, you had to do it the hard way. So what I decided to do, I didn't have any actual Division I scholarships when I graduated high school. So I elected to go to a junior college as a qualifier, academic qualifier. So I go to Fort Scott Community College in Kansas, and then I'm offered a scholarship at Florida Atlantic University. And, that was a great decision. It turned out to be one of the best decisions I made at that point. I ended up being a 4-year starter. Came down here, did what I had to do, had a great career. Had some adversity, two torn ACLs in the same knee. Didn't get drafted, but ultimately the division played out. I was able to get to the NFL as an undrafted free agent, a priority free agent. And, it's been a whole journey from there, a whole nother journey from there. That was the beginning of it, man. You think that's the end when you finally arrive, when you finally get in the door, but it's actually just beginning to an entire new process.
So you said 2 ACLs, right?
Yes.
So take us through both of those moments and like the recovery for that, right? Because at least in the 70s and before, or let's say even the 90s and before, that was like career ending for a lot of athletes. So take us through what you had to do or overcome to bounce back after 2 torn ACLs.
Yeah, like you said, especially, with the advancement of modern medicine, it's becoming a much more feasible task. But it was kind of like what you said, man. I thought it was the end of the world. I remember the game, I'm having a good game. It was my sophomore year, the last game of my sophomore season. Man, I started off fast that game. I had maybe 4 tackles in the first half, and just out of nowhere, it popped. And it wasn't actually that painful. Like, I remember it just kind of felt like maybe like if you crack your knuckle or you crack your back, but it just felt like a little more intense than that. So I knew, I'm like, something's not right. And then immediately, your leg begins to swell up. That was one of the most trying parts of my career and of my life, because you just don't know what's next. You in there, you playing, you balling, you're doing everything you can to put yourself in these positions to be successful, and then all of a sudden it's just taken away from you. So you don't know what to do next, especially if you've never been through it. But it was a trying time. Taught me a lot about myself. I got introduced to meditation, and I think that was a big turning point for me in the healing process, just to visualize myself healing, to visualize myself back on the field. And everything happens for a reason, as they say, and I truly believe that.
It's hard to get to the NFL, and it's hard to get to the NFL being drafted, and then you got to the NFL undrafted. If I'm getting the story correctly, you got injured prior to you even getting. That says a lot about you and your personality, your perseverance, your mindset. And then you also mentioned that, during that process, you've learned a lot about yourself. So let's dive just a little deeper. Like, what specifically did you have to do mentally to get to the NFL in your situation?
So the NFL is all about this. The NFL selection process, the draft process, the scouting process. They're not necessarily looking for reasons to bring you in the NFL. They're looking for reasons to keep you out the NFL. It's just like a filtration process, I'd assume, with any company or any hiring process. They're looking for deficiencies you have. They're looking for things you can't do well. They're looking for things that people say bad about you. So they'll go talk to your high school teacher. They'll talk to as far back as it can go, and just try to uncover things about you that, maybe character flaws or physical deficiencies, whatever they can find. So whenever you have someone like myself who had 2 ACLs, it's an automatic red flag. It's like, okay, this guy, maybe he's injury prone, or, how long will he actually last on the field? Or is he not taking care of his body? Is that the reason he's getting hurt? Will this be a lingering issue when he gets to the NFL? Obviously, if they're going to draft somebody high, they want to have a huge price tag on them, guaranteed money, and then they're unable to fulfill their side as a player, and the club's out of that capital that they invested in the player. It was a grind, man. Coming from Omaha and then going to FAU, which is kind of one and the same. Like, people don't know much about Omaha. They don't want to recruit that area. And now FAU, you have a mid-major program. When I got there, we were in one of the smallest conferences, the Sun Belt Conference, and we ended up moving to Conference USA. So, you don't see too many first, second day, which is like first through third round. You don't see too many of those guys coming from these mid-major programs. Every once in a while you will, but of course the majority of these guys come from the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12, those Power 5 schools. So it's just a constant battle, a constant uphill battle where the odds are stacked against you, not only as a mid-major player, but now you're a player that's coming from an injury. So you got to find ways to separate yourself. And I was able to get results from how I trained and how I performed in my pro day. Never giving up, man. And when I got those opportunities presented to me, I was able to show that I deserved them.
Perseverance is definitely a theme throughout some of the things that you said, and a testament to who you are as a person. So take us through like your experience actually playing in the NFL, right? And things that you learned through your journey as a NFL player.
So the number one thing you learn in the NFL is that everybody is a good player. You got good players, great players, elite players, but everybody's good and everybody deserves to be there. So when you line up against someone, you line up from across someone, you got to give them all the respect that they deserve, and they got to give you that same respect as well, because anybody that's there, like I said, they deserve to be there, because just the process it is of getting in the NFL, like you're not really going to slip through the cracks. So you have so many players who are in that same realm of physical talent. Everybody's big, fast, strong. Everybody knows the playbook. You don't find too many guys out there just on the field half-stepping or something like that. So you have to be on point. And the guy who is the most on point, the guy who is prepared the most, the guy who has studied the most film or is the sharpest mentally that day and has the most belief in himself is probably going to win. And, football is 11 different one-on-ones going at one time. I'm playing 3-tech or defensive tackle. I got this battle against the guard or the center. I got to win. If I don't win, then that's when you see people squirt through the middle and a 50-yard touchdown on a run play. So every play, every day is a competition. When you're there and you're at practice, they have a tryout every Monday or Tuesday. Every team has a tryout for free agents, and they're looking to replace guys. Everybody who comes to work out, they're looking to see if this guy can replace somebody on our roster. The roster is constantly being shuffled around, and the upstairs guys, in their mind, they're improving the roster. So you always have to be ready. Every day is an interview. It's a day-to-day business. You got some guys out there who may have contracts where they're guaranteed 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 million. But for most guys, they're on maybe league minimum, or, they're, a practice squad player, and those guys are the first ones to be replaced. So everyone I just named, those guys on the bottom half of the roster, it's day to day. You could wake up Tuesday and not have a job. You wake up, you go on about your business, you go in the cafeteria to get breakfast, or you go on to put your book bag in your locker, then somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, so-and-so would like to see you upstairs, please bring your playbook. And it's just like that. It's no explanation. It's just they think they found somebody better than you. So there's different circumstances to that happen, but usually they've replaced you on the roster with someone who they believe is better than you.
I want to pivot to your new children's book, So You Want to Be an Athlete. Can you tell us about the book and what motivated you or inspired you to create the children's book?
So first I'll go off of the inspiration, man. I actually wrote this book with a series of other books throughout the lockdown period. And, it was just one of those times where I had so much time on my hand. And, for Florida wasn't like the rest of the world where, it was quarantine or lockdown here maybe for 2-3 weeks, but after that, it was, everybody was kind of just back outside, back to normal. But through that period, I think I had just got released by the Browns at this point. So I'm just at home, nothing much to do. And I'm just watching TV, and there's so much turmoil going on in the world, and, so much sadness and hatred being spewed at each other. And I started to write. And I think at that time I saw something about the underwhelming literacy rates in our country. like how many adults can't read. Is the average fourth grader isn't reading at a proficient level, just so on and so forth. So I figured, this is something that I can help give to the world. It will inspire kids to read. It will inspire kids to want to play sports as well. But the underlying message of the book is simply, one, I want to help instill a growth mindset into these kids. When I say a growth mindset, I mean that you control the end result of your abilities based on the work that you put in. It's not, we don't have fixed abilities and fixed identities. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out. And two, it's just, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So the work that you put in is going to pay off on the field. And three, if you put the same work in the classroom that you put on the field or in the court, us as athletes, man, the sky is the limit, man. Like, I know for a long time in my life, I didn't think school was important. I didn't think it mattered. I just always wanted to go to the NFL, and I figured it would take care of itself. But it got to one point where that wasn't almost the case. I was almost ineligible. I remember my freshman year in high school, I had like a 1.4 GPA or something like that. And it just, if I practiced what I preached in this book, man, I would have had a 4.0 every year in high school, like I was able to do when I got to FAU. When I got to FAU, I finally put in that effort, and I'm academic All-American. I'm Conference USA, All-Conference, All-Academic team. So it's just, I just want to put that in a message that's fun. The pictures pop out to the kids, and also it rhymes.
Do you feel that there's more to being just an athlete? There should be more.
Yeah, for many reasons. One, you don't want to just shape your identity around a sport that someone could just wake up one day and say, hey, you don't play this sport for us anymore. You don't play this sport, or you get hurt. Worse, like people who actually have career-ending injuries. Thankfully mine wasn't, but it happens a lot. And two, man, no matter who you are, like you, for example, you see Deion Sanders, football's not going to last forever, and you're going to maybe, I'm sure Deion doesn't need the money, but if he did, he has another skill where he could provide for himself and his family. So football is going to end one day, unless you're like Lionel Messi, LeBron James, these guys that are making billions of dollars while they're playing the sport. You're probably going to have to get a job. Like I don't know too many people who just play a sport, they make that money, and it's like, okay, I'm done. I don't have to do anything. Inflation hits. You have kids. They don't get any cheaper. Things happen. You have to spend money. So you should always have more skills to rely on to help yourself. And like I said, man, you honestly, average NFL career is 3 years. So you come in the NFL at 21. Let's say on the average rate, you retire at 24. What will you do for the rest of your life? Like, you just want to sit around and watch football and talk about how good you were and, watch old clips of yourself. Like, no, you got to develop these skills. You got to develop something that will help you have an impact on the world and something that will make you valuable within society.
Individuals who are like, have kids who are like, hey, I want to go to the NBA. I want to go to the NFL. What advice do you have for parents for parents who want their kids to go and are, training, pushing them to go to the league? What is what should be their realistic expectations, and what advice do you have for them?
To instill belief in your child, instill belief, hard work, and dedication, because even, it's you can never honestly say who's going to make it and who's not going to make it. If you were to go back and ask my high school coach if I would be in the NFL, I'm sure he would, his head would have flipped around in a circle or something. Like he probably just didn't see it, and that's okay. I saw it, so I saw it. I was willing to put in the work. I was willing to ignore the doubters. I was willing to believe in myself. So instill that belief into that child. Don't doubt them. And, show them what hard work is. Show them how it pays off. Show them, like we talked about, a growth mindset. Show them how a growth mindset can pay off. Celebrate their small victories. Celebrate their big victories. Instill that belief in them, because that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. Once these kids leave the house, once you go to college, that's just a new journey. It starts over every time. You go to high school and you have adversity, you have wins, you have losses. You'll make it to the next level. You'll go to college, same thing, repeat. Then you go to the NFL, and it's like I say, everybody's good. So you constantly have to believe in yourself and put in the work. And those are the two, I believe, underlying qualities that all great athletes that I've met had, even if it was, just ignorance or, they just, for lack of a better term, like, they just it's not really an ego. It's just they believe, you know. It's just like, I'm gonna make this happen no matter what. I don't care how long it takes. I know it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I'm gonna make it happen, and I don't care who believes in me. And I know it's not gonna be easy, but it's all about the journey. And when it's done, I will look back on this and I won't have any regrets.
You mentioned growth mindset a few times, and I've heard numerous definitions. What is your definition of a growth mindset?
You control the end result of your abilities based on the work you put in. Your work, you get what your works deserve. If you put in that work, it will pay off. You know, never put these limitations on yourself, because if you argue your limitations, you get to keep them. So why put these limitations on myself? Like, I grew up saying for a long time, like, I'm not good at math. I'm just not good at math. I have bad handwriting. Algebra's hard, geometry's hard, stats are hard. Like, obviously math is something you probably could tell that I struggled with growing up, but just the longer you believe that, the more likely it comes true. You know, just not only are you attracting it, but you're believing it. You're putting these doubts in your mind. So your mind's going to say, this is like, I'm no expert on neuroscience or anything like that. But once you put those limitations in your mind starts to believe it. If you tell yourself, I'm not good at math, I'm not good at football, I can't catch, I can't throw, I'll never have a six pack, I'm just, whatever. You control the end result of your abilities based on the work you put in. If you want to be stronger, you want to be faster, put the work in. And, just to go on a tangent, like, it bothers me as a professional athlete when someone, speaks to me or about another athlete and they're like, man, that guy's lucky. Like, if I could run and jump like him, I'd be an Olympian, I'd be in the NBA, I'd be in the NFL. And it's just like, man, you have no clue the work these people put in, man. You have no clue. Man, a growth mindset, just a fixed mindset is everything. When you have that fixed mindset, you put these limitations on yourself, and it's just, I'm not going to be good. I'm never going to be good. I can't lose weight. I can't gain weight. I can't gain muscle. I can't lose muscle. I can't save money. I wasn't born into a rich family. I didn't inherit any money. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't care what happened a couple generations ago. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to be the one to change my family's legacy.
What they say is, you are what you think, right? And, having these negative thoughts, these limiting beliefs contribute to, your outcomes in life, right? It all starts in the mind, right? And then usually, your body follows, right? So it's definitely important to instill that as early as possible. And I think it's something that, I strive to put into my daughter, right? To just believe in herself. So I think that's a very important gem for our listeners. But
to play devil's advocate, that ain't always the easiest thing to do. It's extremely hard to always believe in yourself, especially when we have a fixed mindset, especially when that's all we know is a fixed mindset. If you hear your parents say, "Oh, I'm tired," or I'm this, or I'm that, like, and you inherently do it because that's all you've seen. It's tough. Like, so that's why, like, I was asking you that question about the, your injuries, and then you getting into the NFL, because what you did was, I want to say damn near impossible. like a lot of people can't say they did that, and the fact that you did it is very commendable, and especially the mental challenges that you've had to go to. And I didn't even realize the mental challenges that athletes have to go through that aren't in that top 1% of athletes. Because if you're not in that top 1%, it's kind of like everything else or everyone else. Like, you're one meal away from, I guess, not being able to, support yourself if you haven't done well with your money. What you've done is very commendable, and I like your story. I think you should definitely continue to tell it.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add to pull out that you said, Brandon, was your career, right? You play high school football, right? You're the star, right? You go to college, you're the star. But then when you go to the NFL, you're just you said everyone's good, right? So there's a different mental mindset that you have to come to terms with And I'm just curious how you were able to do it, right? Because you went from, being one of the top players on your team, one of the top players in high school, and then you get to NFL and everyone else is, comparable or better, right? In terms of your skill set, and you have to adjust, right? You get all this praise, right? I'm sure at the games you're getting all this praise in high school, all this praise in college, but then you come to the NFL and then you're almost like just a number, right? Almost maybe how you feel when you go to corporate America for, the average W-2 employees, you go to a job and you're just a number. Like, take us through that shift and how you were able to adjust with that, because I think that's really important.
So one, I will say in high school, I thought I was a star, but I didn't even make varsity till my junior year. I didn't start until like the final 5 games of my senior year. So high school was definitely like, I went over that W curve, just ups and downs. And then college, I had a success and, all conference and all that. But to answer your question, in the NFL, just how you adjust. One, like, as a defensive lineman, it's probably the most physically demanding position in the NFL. You're going up against 1 or 2 guys at all times. You got the center and the guards, two of the biggest players on the field. You're going against all the time. So it's not really. It's a position you kind of have to grow into. You need that grown man strength, to play defensive line, especially on the interior. And then one, like, I came in the NFL at 22 years old, so I'm playing against 32, 33, 34-year-olds, 29-year-olds. Like, there's a level of physical maturity that has to take place, and also a level of just skill development and, just overall just improvement. So, but you got to tell yourself that. You got to know that, this is a journey. Like, the guy I'm going against, he's good, but he can be beat, and I just got to figure out a way how to beat him. The guy I'm competing with, I come in as an undrafted free agent. I'm competing with these same guys I just named. I'm competing against 29-year-olds. I'm competing against 33-year-olds, guys who have been in the NFL since I was 12 years old. Like, I remember I'm coming to the NFL. I'm like, what year were you born? I'm like 1993, and they're like, they couldn't believe it. Like, somebody from 1993, like, that age group is finally coming to the NFL. So it's just you constantly have to tell yourself that, one, it's a marathon. I'm going to get better. And one day I'll be on the other side of that, where it's a young guy coming in the league like, hey, how did this older 29, 28, 30-year-old get so good? Like, I got to just keep climbing the mountain. So, it's just all back to the initial conversation we had. I believed that I deserved to be there. And in my mind, I don't care who I'm going against. I always believe I got a chance. I always believe I'm as good or better than my opponent. And like I said, maybe that's ignorance. Maybe that's just, me just blowing steam up my own head. But, every athlete you have to have it, no matter who you're going against, no matter all Pro Bowl, 10-year starter, SEC player, the ACC player, guys you may have seen on TV. Don't care who you're going against. Once you're in the NFL, we all on this field for a reason. And like I said, everybody in the NFL is there because they're a good player. So you got to let yourself know that I'm here because I'm good too. Because, being in the NFL, you see it happen all the time. People just mentally crumble. They might crumble before a game, after a game, in the off season. It's just, they get on Twitter, they search their name, and they see so much negativity. Or even a coach beats them down. Like, somebody might have a bad game, and you come in for film session. It's like, you guys ever heard of Coach 30? Like you can look him up after this, but he just makes spoofs about how coaches treat players, and it's like that, man. You have some coaches, not all of them. I don't think the good ones do this, but you have coaches who just get on there and they just, they beat the players up. So it's like, you had a bad game, and now this coach is taking the stress out that he has because he has to answer for your lack of production, and he just beats that player up. And it's like, people just get in their heads and they just crumble. But who cares, man? You got to go out there. You're gonna win. You're gonna lose. The goal is to win more than you lose. So if you're going to get somebody just as good as you or a little better than you, it may be tough. It may be a daunting task, but it can be done, and you can do it. You got to believe. So that's what I always told myself. Like, I've had times I had to go against an all-pro every day at practice or in a game, and it's like, man, you just can't believe the hype. You can't turn on ESPN and watch these guys and listen to Skip Bayless talk about how good the guy you're going against is. You can't, watch the guy's highlights. You can't, let those negative thoughts get in your head. Well, I'm not good enough, or this guy's better, or this guy's so great, I'm not as good. You got to stay level. You got to stay grounded. You got to stay neutral. And you have to develop, like a mental toolbox to deal with it all. Just like you train your body to perform on the field, you have to train your mind to not only believe, but to process information at fast speeds, but just to have that mental capacity to say, okay, I had a bad play, but next play, I have to forget about that, or I'm going to fail on this next play. Or I had a great play, I got to get back to neutral, because if I'm thinking about how good that play was, now this guy's thinking like, I'm not going to let him do that again. And that's where, you see guys getting put on highlight reels because their mind's either in the past or it's in the future. They're thinking about how bad they are, how good they are. So, you got to find a way to stay neutral to be in that optimum zone of performance.
Last question of the day. It's the most favorite question of the day. I'm sure you heard it before since you listened to past episodes, but how are you redefining your Black experience?
Kind of just a summation of this conversation, man. No matter what I do, if I'm playing football, if I'm writing books, or, if I go on a podcast, or no matter what I do, I'm going to give it everything I got and prepare. And I'm going to believe in myself, and I'm going to be excited about the output. And, I hope that, I can inspire others in the process. And, my story's still being written. And, I'm excited to what the future holds in every aspect of it. But, man, just giving it everything I got, physically, mentally, and, just trying to inspire the next generation and inspire the people to believe that whatever you want to do is possible. If you want to make it to the NFL, you want to play professional sports, you want to have a successful podcast, you want to be a successful politician, no matter what you want to do, you want to be an author, you want to write a book, you can do it. You got to believe. And then, let's reach back, or better yet, let's reach over and grab somebody with us and take them on the ride, and, show them what we learned, and show them that it can be done.
Agreed. Never give up. Have a growth mindset. Look at the glass half full. And, throughout this interview, a lot of things that you said went along with those themes, right? And you mentioned your family, your father, your grandfather, all being athletes, right? And, they passed on their legacy to you, and you're continuing to do it, and you're continuing to redefine the Black experience in your way, through the NFL, through your book, So You Want to Be an Athlete. So thank you so much for coming on, Brandon. Can you let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can follow you at on social media, and where they can get the book, So You Want to Be an Athlete?
So you can find me on Instagram at EL_SACKO. Same name on Twitter, L_Sacko2. New website just went up, brandonsbooks.com. And that's Brandon with the I, BRANDIN. So brandonsbooks.com. And the book's available everywhere online. It's available on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, all the major retailers. And of course on the website as well. Then we're working on getting in some brick and mortar stores down here in South Florida, and hopefully Omaha, Nebraska as well.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on. Keep continuing to redefine the Black experience. And you notice who this be. This is Mookie.
And your favorite color in the world, brown.
30 to Life podcast. We out. Peace.